Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda. This is Kevin
Hi there.
with A. Smith Gallery, and we're really happy today to have with us Lee Smith, Leland Smith. Say hi.
Hey, Lee, welcome.
And Julia Arstrop. Say hi. All right. And we're here today to talk about their, well, first of all, they are our last performance in our photographic performance. And in photographic performance, it was a call for entry, and we were looking for cohesive bodies of work with a strong narrative. And they definitely fit that bill.
They absolutely did.
Yes. So we're going to talk about their body of work, Ellis Island, Abandoned Echoes. And Kevin is going to read their
I'm gonna read
bios.
it. Let me get my glasses on. This is Julia's bio. Based in Connecticut, fine art photographer Julia Arstorp explores memory, history, and impermanence through her black and white images. Her work evokes a sense of nostalgia, weaving together narratives that feel both deeply personal and universally familiar. Arstorp's creative process is heavily influenced by her research. She often incorporates historical artifacts like old photographs, letters, and maps into her layered collages and diptychs. These elements create a rich dialogue between history and her contemporary vision. Beyond her photographic prints, Arstorp also creates handmade books and intricate assembled pieces. Her work has been shown in group exhibitions at galleries throughout the U.S. and featured in publications like Hand Magazine, Photo Trouvé, and Shots Magazine. Notably, her series Coquettish Decay was selected as a 2025 Photolicida's Critical Mass finalist, and her cyanotype work can be seen in the book Cyanotype Toning. Wonderful.
Congratulations on critical mass.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah.
And this is Lee's bio. Leland Lee Smith is a photo artist. In photographic circles, he is considered a generalist. As such, his images encompass a wide range subject matter: landscape, architecture, still life, and abstract. His inspiration and approach are grounded in the compositional moods of pictorialism and the subtle color gradations of tonalism. His final images are a blend of monochromatic stillness and delicate color shifts. They often create a dreamlike transactional feel that emphasizes the beauty of subject matter rather than the mere documentation of reality. Coming from a background of directing high-profile television commercials, Lee's photographic style has been shaped by the masters of advertising, still photography, and by the classic cinematographers that he has had the good fortune of working with. His work has been featured at the Danforth Museum, Gallery PH21 Budapest, the Soho Photo Gallery, New York City, the New York Center for Photographic Art, the Commons Provincetown, and the Griffin Museum of Photography. Publications include Musée Magazine, Lens Magazine, Lens Work, Fine Eye, and the Tag Reed Magazine. Lee lives in Connecticut. Very good.
And y'all are almost neighbors, right?
We are.
Yeah, same, we live in
Okay.
the same town. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And
You're going to read.
I'm going to read their artist statement also, if I can find it.
No,
That's not it.
that's
That's not
not
it. There it is. All right. Ellis Island Abandoned Echoes, a photographic collaboration between Julia Arstorp and Leland Smith. In 2024, a shared fascination with the abandoned immigration hospital on Ellis Island became the cornerstone for this project. As photographers, however, aim was never simply to document this landmark. We sought something more, a visual narrative that evoked the emotional resonance of the decaying hospital and the enduring immigrant experience. We began without predetermined outcomes, sometimes working together, sometimes apart. We were not only captivated by the physical structure, but equally by how our individual creative visions would emerge. Would they mesh? Would they overlap? Would they tell different stories? Ultimately, we discovered that Leland's images, with their soft, rich textures, colors, and tones, evoke a sense of wonder, almost as if seen through the eyes of a newly arrived immigrant on their first morning. In contrast, Julia's black and white collages and diptychs inspire narratives of the past that reveal the hospital's enduring presence as both a physical and symbolic place. For both of us, engaging with this historical place created a powerful link between the hopes and dreams of past immigrants and the contemporary issues we face today. Abandoned Echoes invites you to walk alongside us, to listen to the whispers of history, and to bear witness to the enduring human spirit that once thrived within these walls. Very well
Yeah.
said
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
and very topical.
Yes.
Uh, Something we are absolutely dealing with as a country these days.
Absolutely. It-
Well, how about we share your images?
sure.
Can y'all see that?
We
Yep. Yep.
can. Thank you. Just as a word of preference, perhaps, the group that you're going to see here, which is the collaboration that we put together, the collaboration of both of our work, is sort of intermixed. And we did that purposely because I think that the combined narrative of the whole piece is what tells the story. So we wanted to seamlessly put this together. So not one stuck out more than the other, but they sort of meshed and collaborated. This is the first shot, which is the actually the exterior of one of the hospital buildings. And this thing was abandoned in 74, I believe. And some of the buildings are not open, they're not safe, and the major hospital wing that you're about to see is still open, but with very delicate care in walking, and it's debris filled. We went through with a guide who sort of shepherded us through the place and said, "Don't step there, you can step there." But ultimately, we were allowed a lot of freedom, which I think really um, added to the work, letting us work either both individually, as the statement said, or um, a collaborative, looking over each other's shoulders.
So is this attached to the building where the immigrants actually came ashore? Is it right?
This,
Are they right there together?
yes,
There's three islands, and the one island, the first island is where the museum is, and the second island is the psych ward. And I think that this building's on the second island, and then the third island was the actual Ellis Island Hospital. But as you can see them, like I think at this point we're standing, and Ellis Island Hospital is behind us, and this is the building on the second island.
Ah, okay.
but yes, to answer your question, they would come in, the immigrants would come in, they'd be processed if there was a detection of a medical problem that they thought could be solved, they were sent to the hospital. It wasn't to separate. If it couldn't be solved, they were put back on the boat. But that wasn't the main issue. They wanted to help people stay here. I mean, it was a very welcoming place that we found out about, which was really quite cool.
Wonderful. Well, Julia, this is your image. Do you have anything you'd like to say about it?
Yeah, so a lot of my work, most of the work for this series are diptychs or collages, which my work is often about. My work is I like to think of my work as a form of storytelling, and it allows the viewer to look at it and then kind of create their own story around it. So this is an actual letter that one of my great great aunts sent my mother at some point, and I just loved the way the handwriting from that time period, how it lines up with the architecture on the left-hand side. But it really just is intended to kind of create some kind of a story when you're looking at it.
And it absolutely does. And the choice of the diptych is a good choice. Would you mind if I asked a question?
No,
No.
go ahead.
Could you tell us how the two of you found each other and what the genesis of this project was?
We actually were in a joint show at the Carriage Barn, which is like a gallery in New Canaan, which is the town over from us. And as part of that show, they also did a tour in the city of photographic galleries. And Lee and I were both on it. And so we met each other and just kind of started talking about different things we wanted to work on. And it was Lee who actually knew about the Ellis Island Hospital and the opportunities there. So that was the start of it.
Uh,
Yeah, I saw the image. We were in an exhibit together. Not Julie. I guess Julia had an image in that as well. Anyway, there was a gentleman who had a lovely shot up next to one of my images, and we got talking. He's from New Haven, Connecticut, and I asked him about it, and he said this was the Ellis Island Hospital. And so then we sort of took the ball, and he was the impetus for getting us to the right people at the right time and everything else. but then we just sort of parlayed that whole thing in.
So, have y'all done anything together previously?
No,
No.
no. We're more just like we would always get together and have a cup of coffee and show each other our work and get input. It was great. It's a great resource that we both kind of use each other to throw ideas on the table or show new work that we're trying to do. And so that's kind of how that we kind of this whole friendship started. And then this was just kind of a natural progression from that.
Well, looking at the work, you'd think you guys have been working together for years.
That's a nice compliment.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that is.
You're welcome. So,
Um,
Lee, you have anything to say about this image?
Yeah, well, what I think what Julia said is absolutely correct. I mean, she works in collages and assembling images and so forth. I'm more of a visualist from the standpoint of the architectural structure, the both from a standpoint of what it is and how I can add something to it rather than just a straight on photograph. This building has been documented and documented and documented. There's some fabulous books with a very, very pristine, perfectly exposed, perfectly printed photographs of
We've
this.
seen them. Yeah, yeah.
And I wanted it, and both Julie and I wanted it to be more than that. So that's why I was really looking for odd angles, color tonality, different, just a little bit different point of view, simplified images, and as I said, more emphasizing the feel of it is what the feel and the look of it.
Well, there's some really great books that document the spaces, but y'all approached it as more of an art project,
Right,
Correct.
and
right.
that really comes through.
This is another one of mine, and it's the same thing. I can't remember. This wasn't a psych ward, was it, Julia?
No, no.
I don't remember what it's called. The Blue Room right now for obvious reasons because of that the blueness of the wall there. But it's the same thing, and this alludes a bit to the feeling that evolved after I took my grouping of them, is the fact that it's sort of I stumbled on this whole idea of an immigrant's first experience. I mean, coming to a new place, God knows when they were landing, in the middle of the night, and what was the time frame? Falling asleep after a long journey, and first awakening eyes of opening your eyes in the morning or whenever you woke up to see this place. And it's that instant between awakening and sleep when your eyes aren't quite focused. And that's what I tried to sort of instill in some of these photographs.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
How about another question?
sure.
You obviously were together when you shot the images. Did being in the spaces together affect or influence your approach to creating this body of work?
What do you think, Lee?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we both went into it. We had the luxury of walking through with our guide and for an overview. So we kind of went through kind of quickly. I mean, we took shots along the way. And then we went back. But I mean, sometimes I'd find Julia across the hall working on something and vice versa. Or I would say, hey, look at this, and she would do the same. But I know I looked over your shoulder a few times because I was fascinated. You had a big deal camera. I have an iPhone. So it's like, I'm like, wow, she had a tripod. How does that work? Anyway, I'm being facetious, but it's true. I work very, very simply, and she's into the minutia and details. And I think it makes our work complementary as well as a stronger statement. But I don't, first of all, we never got in each other's way. And I guess we helped each other. I don't know. I
So,
Yeah,
don't,
no, I
Ju
think
so,
so.
so Julia, did the director ever come out in it?
And from Lee,
Yeah.
I have to say, like Lee, you would find things like that blue bathroom in the doctor's residency and you were all psyched about photographing something around that. And that I would have completely missed. And so we did like you would find things and we would kind of talk about it, but then oftentimes we'd just walk off in different directions. And I think a lot of it also is because I shoot black and white and Lee's shooting color. And so what I'm looking for is slightly different than what he's looking for. Um,
Right.
but it was a great experience, and the guy who led us through was really fantastic. And he had all this information, and he would just kind of park himself some places, and we would wander off and come back to him. And it's a really great program that Ellis Island offers. I mean, it's intended for photographers. You make a donation to their Save Ellis Island program, and then they give you a private 3-hour tour behind the scenes. And we went back twice. We did it 2 times in the fall. And because, once you go through a place the first time, then you feel like, wait, need to go back and find those things you missed and
Right.
rephotograph them. And we got the same guide each time. So there was a nice kind of symmetry to that, where he was with us through the project and knew what we were trying to do. So it was fun.
Great, great. Well, Lee, you took a little bit different approach with these. It's kind of more of a micro approach. What,
There
what,
was some, there's a lot of detail, and this actually hooks to a larger photograph, and we debated whether to put this in or not to put it in, but we thought, well, some of the detail here kind of leads into some of Julia's work, either showing two images or getting a little bit more detail. So that's why we added those in. But when I try and cover the wider architectural aspect of it, I also try and if I stumble on something small like this, it's another shot. I mean, it's just take it, and it blends with what works at the end, great. But I think the desaturation of the color is what stirred me to, and both of us actually, to put this in. It was the hint of blue here that led in from the blue room of the previous shot.
very nice.
So this one is mine. And I just thought these things were really cool. Lee was making fun of me about it after a while because I thought some of these old sinks were so fantastic. And then this one actually I shot with a pinhole lens. I switched back and forth for a while just because I think the pinhole lens adds a kind of a different dynamic to it. But I just thought these were fantastic.
Yeah, it's real atmospheric. It's wonderful.
It's amazing what's still left there and the
Right.
materials they use. I mean, that's marble behind these two sinks. And
Oh,
if you
wow.
notice, even the grain dovetails. I mean,
Yeah, just now seeing that. Right.
it's like beautiful. These are great looking sinks. Look at the leg on holding this
Yeah,
thing up.
yeah,
This is not your typical contractor specialer, lowest bidder does this thing. But well, let's see. When was the building done? It was in the 1800s, right? Right around the 19. I don't have my cheat sheet in front of me.
I have it was like 1892.
Right. And this thing is basically as solid as a rock. It's the wood and the windows have been blown out, and therefore, stuff has happened.
well, that's interesting because the using that, these expensive materials says a lot about what they thought they were doing at that time.
Right.
They obviously took it real seriously and they wanted to make some kind of impression, I would imagine.
But again,
Yeah.
this wasn't like, a bad place. This was a welcoming
That's
place.
what I'm
And
saying. Yeah, that's exactly what
yeah,
I'm
it
saying.
was
Yeah,
like this is your new home, folks. We want to make you happy here,
right.
Yeah, I think
And
in the context of where we are today, the amount of money that was put into this is astounding.
Exactly.
And
oh,
that whole mentality was around welcoming immigrants into the country. So
Right.
it's astounding to kind of compare where we sit now versus what was going on in the mindset of the country at this time.
Precisely.
well, there was a maternity ward. There was as she said, a psych ward. There was a building we couldn't get into at all. Even the guide couldn't get into it, which was it was a that was that recreation center building. I can't remember what the name
Right.
of it was. It was a huge space, and the also the grounds around the whole thing where there was all kinds of open space, and you look across the river, and there's Manhattan. You know, what's Manhattan now? And the location is like through the roof. It's like,
Right, right,
why wouldn't you
right.
like this? And there's the Statue of Liberty. I mean, it drives home everything that this country's about.
Wow. Wonderful.
And this one's mine too. And this is a diptych. I actually took the tiled wall on the right from another bathroom and then layered it in on this. But as a black and white photographer, I just love all the texture. I thought it was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And the choice of putting those two together is great.
Thanks.
Well, I'll ask another question. Ju- Julia, your approach creating black and white diptychs creates a strong sense of story in your group of images. The choice of black and white anchors them atmospherically back in time. Your work has a fine art, creative documentary storytelling feel. Lee, your images are fine art portraits that capture the poignancy and beauty of decay and are a complement, almost like paintings, that pictorially interpret Julia's images. Together, they create an emotional tableau. Any thoughts on this? We've kind of talked about that, but
That's a
You
good
want to go
question.
first, Julia?
Yeah, you want to go first? You want me to?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think that's a great question. You aligned it perfectly. I think that's exactly how we feel about it. That is, I am like, it's just my approach is, I was really fascinated by the history of this place. So before we went on the second time, I actually read a book about Ellis Island just to get a sense of the history of it and how it all came to be. And Lee really has a very a different approach from mine in that he was more interested in just kind of capturing the vibe of the place. And I mean, you can speak to yourself, Lee.
Well, I think too that as we said right at the onset, we wanted to make something more out of this than just the mere documentation, pristine, beautiful, beautiful photographs of this place. I mean, we've all seen, abandoned and deteriorating buildings beautifully shot. Um, I think the inclination for my work is, which I still struggle with, is I'm greatly influenced by both pictorialism and tonalism, and to carry those two art movements into my work is where I'm at the moment. And I've just got back from a workshop, and I'm pushing to take it someplace else, and I don't know where that's going. But that influenced a lot of the work that I did on this, and I think you'll see that in some of the color images that are to come. But if somebody to say it has a different feel. It isn't quite a painting, and it isn't this, but it does have that influence of those two movements. I take that as a high compliment.
and that I think that's pretty obvious. Yeah. Well, Julia, you have anything to say about this image?
And this, Lee and I both talked about including this, and I think it's just that you get the idea of the vastness of this place, that the hallways just go down, and this was the layout is the same everywhere. So you keep coming across these halls, and just really just like the vastness of it.
Right. Nice.
And this one's mine too. And this is the nurses' quarters, and they have these screen doors because they were trying. The whole idea was they wanted to make sure that there was good air circulation because, of course, it's you're in a hospital. And I just thought that was so fascinating that all of the doors they have actual doors to the bedrooms, but then they most of the times they would use the screen doors with windows open to create that kind of circulation. And
So,
they're all still there.
when was this place built again? What time? What year?
I've got 1892.
Wow.
And
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 they
it's
did use, the guy who was walking us through said that Florence Nightingale's principles on designing hospitals was a huge influence on the design of the Ellis Island Hospital. She wasn't a part of it, but they took her principles and her ideas about how to kind of create a hospital that has a good airflow to it.
Interesting. And that was even prior to World War One, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
correct.
yeah. She died in 1930, I think. So
Yeah.
this would have all been around like the late 1800s.
Right.
This is obviously one of mine, but also this emphasizes the the beautiful architecture that's here. This is a curved corridor that leads you to almost, you have to think of it as a Y with two curves on each side coming down to the stem of the Y. And in the middle of it, to the left there, was an outdoor space, a gorgeous courtyard type of thing, overgrown now. And the thing that struck me about this, a lot of these windows are covered up now, as you'll note on the windows on the right. And so to get a lot of natural light through is pretty hard. And they've done this obviously to protect some of this stuff. But what struck me here again, this is where I was going after this more painterly feel that emphasized the sort of blurry-eyedness of somebody that maybe can't get their eyes quite clear right at the beginning of the thing. And that's what I was after in these captures.
I've thought about being in old decrepit buildings. It's such a shame that it was allowed to fall apart and decay. But then if it didn't, you wouldn't get these beautiful decayed old buildings. So it's kind of a bittersweet thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely wonder if it's haunted.
Yeah.
This is just another one of those spaces. This is another one of my, I think this was a changing room because you can tell about the hooks on the wall over there. And a lot of people have, this is an interesting image because a lot of people think this is an overhead shot, and it's really not an overhead shot.
It
It's
does
just,
look that way. Yeah.
it can be interpreted until you find the hooks, and then you find the
Yeah.
hooks, and
Yeah.
then,
Mhm.
Yeah.
oh, well, that's where that is. But again, this reflected it was after the bits of color that were there. This also had some natural light coming in, which was really nice. And the connection of that window really goes into an internal room that led to another internal room. So this idea is, as Julia said, with the flow of light and air into these areas, even in a closet like this, were really pretty cool.
Wow. Nice. How about another question?
Sure.
Go for it.
Lee, this is for Lee. Lee, how has your experience as a director of commercials influenced your work?
It's really simple. It's interesting because I was just doing some editing this morning, and my instinct is to use horizontals, more in the cinematic type of format. So 16:9, even more widescreen than that. And this particular situation, there were a lot of verticals that we put in here, which were, it was pushing the envelope from that standpoint for me. But the influences come from probably two things, as you mentioned in the bio. I've had the terrific opportunity working with some really great still photographers and cinematographers, and so that type of feel, framing, attention to odd composition has led to this type of influence. And this is that's a key shot here because you don't know. It's sort of unexpected. What am I looking at the beginning? And so you have to look. And if I can get you to do that, I think I've done my job.
Wonderful.
This is another one of mine. This is a corridor. I think this went ran all the way to the west side of the building. And you can just imagine it if both of those windows on both sides, the ones on the left have got the boards over it, and that's why they're just little highlights coming through. But that whole corridor was lit like the light on the right-hand side, which this is not a down and dumpy place. It was an uplifting place. And we wanted to take the wood off the windows and let more light come in, but they didn't let us do that. So,
It's just incredible how much attention to detail they paid in the design of all this.
oh yeah,
I
Right.
mean, there's elements that are absolutely unnecessary. The only reason they're there is for to beautify the place.
correct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wouldn't it be great to go back in time and see what it actually looked like if you could
Yeah.
walk through it?
Well, and
Yeah.
they did use color too. I mean, not
Right.
just I mean, I punched the greenish tint on this somewhat when I was playing with this, but the blue room was the blue room, and the what you just saw in the previous shot, those colors were there. I helped them along a little bit here and there to bring it out, but they were there, and I think in a couple more shots you'll see that as well.
I mean, they obviously did that to make it a little bit more cheerful, I would imagine, which is fascinating.
Yeah. I think this is the doctor's washroom or whatever. This is a shot that Julia wanted me to put in because she loves the blue. I like the blue too. She says you got to put this shot in.
I do
Well,
like
and then
that.
you got that green on the other side, which is
I
great.
know.
Yeah.
And to the right there, that was a full window in there, like a 5 foot window that was again, it's boarded up and it's too bad. It's a little bit open at the top, as you can see the hot spot. But there again is another look at the detail at the bottom of the sink. I mean,
Right.
it, it was well done. A lot of the, as Julia pointed out, the screen doors and even the detail in the door here. I mean, if you look at the woodwork and even the hardware, why, as we've talked, they they spent money, which was terrific.
So I imagine it probably had some pretty great furniture in there also.
I'm sure, we saw desks in one, and there were some file cabinets that were obviously not put in there from the 1800s, but later, because the building it was shuttered in 54. So, there were a few leftover modern touches, but some of the old stuff is gone,
Wow.
unfortunately. Again, going for the textures and the color, and you can sort of see the color palettes coming through.
Oh
This is
yeah. Yeah. It's
one
beautiful.
of the stairways that was right at the entrance. This kind of beautiful foyer.
But look at the detail on the side of those stairs. I mean, that's
Oh
just
yeah,
Right?
absolute, that's
oh yeah,
totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was in
Fantastic.
the center hall, right? Like I think to the right
Yeah,
were the
it
admin
was. Yeah,
It
offices
was
and
what now?
it was the center hall when you came right into
Ah.
the main entrance to coming into the facility. And this was the stairway going upstairs. But there was one stairway we couldn't, I don't know if we couldn't do, but a rounded newel post at the end and everything else. The detail was great. Uh, Look at the color again here. I mean, the orange on the wall. This is a toilet. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
it's like
They wanted them to be happy in there.
I get, and I trust they were. But I think too, before I let Julia go on, it's like if through some of this work that my stuff and hers can bring or it triggers some of the beauty, not only that old abandoned spaces are, I think it reverts back to the kind of the way it was and paints that picture. And I found that incredibly important, I think, to our collaborative work on this.
I agree. And it's also the back and forth that really adds to the feel of the piece.
yeah, and how we both interpreted or saw it
Yeah, exactly.
differently. Yeah. So this
Well,
is mine, and this is on the first floor when we first walked in. And again, I like these hallways were so fantastic the way they kind of just went off like that. And then when you could go into the left or the right, you'd have these vast rooms like that blue room that Lee photographed. And so it's just. And then I created this diptych so that I could add in the windows that were all covered with plants and everything's getting slowly covered over.
very nice. Well, how about I ask you a question? Julia,
Okay.
did your experience making books influence your choice to create diptychs?
Yeah, that's a great question. It did. I took a class with Susan K. Grant probably about 2 years ago, and it was all about handmade books, and that's what I really like. I really love kind of just putting together the images and then finding either poetry or text that can align with it and create these stories in the book. And then I definitely feel like this is what this is like for me here. The image on the left here is a relative of mine back from sometime in the mid 1800s, and that's actually on the top of a cracked desk, and then the other side of it is just it was a cabinet with some bottles in it. But this was actually from the children's ward. They had a children's ward, and it was really cool because when you go in, some of the kids had actually written their names on the side of, like, on the wall going into their particular bedroom. And then when they came in and started opening up the hospital, they put plexiglass over so they could preserve the children's handwriting.
Oh,
So
that's great.
it was really cool.
And we tried to shoot it, but we got there was so much reflection off of the
Yeah.
plexi. It was really
And it's dark in there. It's dark a lot
dark.
of times in
Yeah,
there.
it is dark.
This is a strong image.
Thank you. And I brought obviously things in with me. Like that's a picture of my grandfather's great uncle or something like that. And then that book has belonged to my great grandfather. So I brought things in to try and kind of inspire me when I was in a space to try and feel about or think or feel about what it was like back at that point in the late 1800s when this was all just coming together.
Wonderful. The way the light hits that chair is great.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of light in there. You had to find the light.
Yeah.
And then this is a picture of my grandfather, but this is actually the room is at the what is it the east side, Lee, where it's at the very end,
Yeah, it is.
and it's where the doctor and his family would live. And they had different families that would rotate through, but that was a nice home, and it had a living room and fireplace, dining room, and it was all set up. And they would have the doctor and his family, and they had kids. And the story that the our guide told us is that the kids went to school, I think over in Battery Park. So they would actually get on the ferry and go over to Battery Park to go to school. So it's kind of fascinating to think that a family was raising their kids there and living there during all of this.
Right. Right. Wow. What are we looking at here in this
Well,
window?
what you're looking at is that's what the boarded up things that they put over the plywood they put over their the thing that you just use your cursor on. It's sort of a ventilation screen, and then
Uh,
same thing at the top, which is a little bit more open. So that's the plywood insert that has been put over these windows from the outside. And so that's kind of what you get through a lot of this. That's why it is so dark. The windows at the end, where the coming through on the left-hand side, where the principal light's coming through, if you looked out that window, you'd be looking right across to Manhattan right now.
okay.
And they have some of those are still okay, as in open, like this one is.
So can you tell if they're doing any maintenance on this
There's
there at
no
all?
money. There's no money as we understand it. And
How could
it's
there be no money for something like this?
yeah,
That's truly
well,
amazing.
um, it- the place, first of all, it's huge. It is
Yeah.
absolutely huge. So it's what do you do? How do you do this? They did restore that. There is a walkway between one of the that was where we walked across initially. That's been beautifully redone. And I don't know when that was done. Do you remember, Julia? You know, when we
I
got the
don't.
hard hats and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they did a beautiful job with that. Um, the part of it is also I sensed too, and I may be speaking on this, but I don't think so. Part of this island belongs to New Jersey, and part of it
Mm.
belongs to New York. So, because you can get to it by a road from the New Jersey side, which I didn't know about. And so you've got two states working on this thing to begin with, so you know how that is. And then there's got to be federal money behind it, but there doesn't seem to be enough to do
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
It's really a shame
They're
because
spending it on the Alamo.
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's such a great story and it's so timely right now. It is just so incredibly timely. And if people would just see this and see what a welcoming place this was,
Well,
you
what a
know,
great place for kids to go now to learn something.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the museum side of it on the first island is really fantastic.
Yeah,
And they've
yeah,
got all sorts of accoutrements from things that were there. And someone told me that they actually have, I didn't see it, but they have a button hook in one of the displays because one of the biggest concerns with immigrants coming over was tuberculosis and trachoma, which is an eye disease. So when they would do they call it a 6-second medical check. And one of the things they do is they would take a button hook and they would lift your eyelid to see if you had trachoma, which
oh
sounds
boy.
like a horrible
Yeah, it
and
does.
torturous thing to do, but
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
boy.
Yeah, yeah. So this was the pharmacy that was up on the second floor, and these were the cabinets in there. And then these bottles were actually still in a cabinet that had a padlock on it. So I was trying to get my lens so that I could actually get in there to photograph the bottles that were still in the pharmacy.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, and so this was again, I think this was up around the admin area again. And then this is just a passport. A friend of mine, I found it at her house, and what I loved about the passport is that this is her passport picture, and that the kids had to be in it with her. It wasn't just like it was her.
Right.
She,
Wow. I love the open screen doors because it kind of gives the illusion of activity, which is interesting.
yeah, I agree. And then so there was a contagious disease ward, and that was at the end of the hallway, kind of in the same area, but a floor below from where the doctor's residence was. And as Lee said, that faces out towards Manhattan, but it's at the very tip of the facility.
It's beautiful. That sink over there is wonderful.
I know. That was my thing. I liked all the
A
sinks.
lot of sinks, a lot of sinks and toilets.
Uh, and then this is also a friend gave me this picture, and I love it because there's 6 girls, they're all sisters, and they came over at some point before Ellis was actually built, but their mother was a midwife, which I thought was so interesting, which is very, and then I brought in another letter I had that my mom had given me, but and I liked it with the stairwell going down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well done.
Yeah. And then this is the isolation ward. And what our guide told us is that they had the isolation ward again at the tip of the facility, at the tip of the island, because they wanted them to have a view of the Statue of Liberty as a form of inspiration. Because I gather if you came to this ward, the assumption was that you were probably not going to live. So they wanted them to have a view of what they had actually come to see. And I just loved that. I thought that I loved that idea. And then I did a diptych of it with a map on the right.
Wow, what an iconic shot.
Yeah.
I mean I mean what's interesting about so much of this is it just oozes empathy, which is
That's a good
it's
word.
incredible.
That's a great word for
You
it.
know, it kind of plays into my final question. In light of current events, this project is very timely and has additional emotional impact. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that it was an overriding thought in making this work, honestly. I think, and we did all of this in November. It was in fall of 24. So of course things have just accelerated since then. But I definitely think it was. I hate to use the word inspiration, but I think it was something that was definitely in the back of my mind when I was making the images and when I was editing the work. It was a big part of it.
Well, I think it's the same thing that it's too bad that more people can't either look at this work or understand what we've been talking about for the last half hour, whatever it is. And that if somehow people could understand that, maybe it would influence some of the decisions that are being made or not made today. And I find the whole immigration thing incredibly disturbing, for the lack of a better word. And if this could bring some type of vision to what it used to be, what we used to be as a country, and I hope it gets better, then I think that I feel like we've done something.
Well, I think the project has the power to do that. It
Thank you.
it
I hope.
visually it's the fact that it affects one visually there, because there's no explanation. I mean, you guys have been talking about it, but we're not reading any text.
Right.
So it's the visual impact that's so powerful.
Well,
Yeah.
I think too, I mean, my work, not only on this, but my work in general, I think is visually oriented, I guess, for a lack of a better word. And if you can look at one of my images and feel something or have it take you in one direction, um, I feel great about that. In this whole atmosphere of decreased attention spans and so forth, if we can make one visual impact, I think that's great. If Julia again with images, there are two of them put together, makes you stop and do something, why I think we've succeeded as photographers.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think it's very successful.
Thank you.
I believe this is the last image,
It is.
It
and
is.
it's wonderful.
Well, thank you for doing this, honestly. I mean, we should have started off with that. Thank you for including our work because that's a
Absolutely.
huge honor. So thank you.
It is.
Well,
It is. Thank you.
well, we're honored. We're the ones that are honored. Thank y'all very much.
Well, you picked us, so thank you.
We're very smart people.
Okay. We'll buy that.
Yeah, so we really appreciate you guys participating in this and supporting the gallery. And the work is wonderful. And we hope we'll get this out there soon and
We
more
will.
people can enjoy it.
Great.
Thanks.
That's really terrific. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
All right. Well, keep up the good work and thank you guys again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.